Welcome to The Sound, KQAL FM's weekly behind-the-scenes look at Minnesota-made music. From writing and recording to distribution and promotion, The Sound is your source for new releases and exclusive interviews from Minnesota artists. Support for The Sound is made possible by a grant from the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Rolling.
I'ma go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off. 30 nerds been black since day one. It don't matter.
Tonight on The Sound, we hear from hip-hopper Nur-D. Nur-D is a Minneapolis artist with a variety of talents including rapping, singing, and spoken word. With a conscious message delivered with no curses, he defies the conceptions of hip-hop today. Nur-D displays his influences in geek culture as well as socially conscious messages. Tonight we're listening and talking about his latest album, 38th, where he carries the tremendous weight of the murder of George Floyd, channeling it into concise, powerful art. I'm Matt Drewry with Nur-D, tonight on KQAL's The Sound.
An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. I think that is true of painters, sculptors, poets, musicians. As far as I'm concerned, it's their choice. But I choose to reflect the times and the situations in which I find myself. That to me is my duty. And at this crucial time in our lives, when everything is so desperate, when every day is a matter of survival, I don't think you can help but be involved. Young people, black and white, know this. That's why they're so involved in politics. We will shape and mold this country, or it will not be molded and shaped at all anymore. So I don't think you have a choice. How can you be an artist and not reflect the times? That to me is the definition of an artist.
8 minutes 46. Send them on the river Styx. Anytime you're on your phone, yeah, you see your dad's never coming home, yeah. Oh, 5:25, another day, another life. Tell me why they're doing it, and why am I so used to this? I've seen things that I can't unsee. These faces, they cling to me. And I can't sleep, I can't sleep. We got no justice, no, we can't have peace. They beat us so, but they don't want violence. They say have some conversations, they really want silence. But we can't stay quiet. Cause there ain't no hiding from 8 minutes 46. Send them on the...
So that was the opening track, 8:46.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me, Matt. This isn't an easy conversation, but it's important, and I think it's really valuable that we have this type of discussion.
Yeah, for sure. It's like real important. Talking and gaining understanding and knowledge and education is like super important, especially when it comes to interpersonal stuff like this.
True. Awesome. So starting with 8:46, how does the tone and delivery of this song and this album differ from the rest of your discography?
Yeah, when we decided to do this, when I decided to make this project, it came off the backs of just everything that's been happening in Minnesota and the uprising subsequently after the murder of George Floyd. And unlike my other projects, more lighthearted, a little bit more like fun and upbeat, I wanted to start off this entire project with like just the weight of what that really was for a lot of people, for me and for just others who saw the video even, and then just start everything with that so they could understand what the rest of the album was going to be like.
Yeah, I kind of noticed, I felt like you made a little bit more conscious of a shift towards singing. Was that sort of an emotional, do you think that was just the better outlet for you?
Yeah, I mean, for something like that, I mean, Black Americans have been singing out their frustration and their problems since, follow the drinking gourd in plantations. The idea that, like, singing, it, like, equates to something in the soul is really big. So Well, I do. I sing throughout all my music, and I do sing later on in the whole project. To start off with this kind of like lamentation of the situation that we're in, just felt right.
Awesome. And what was the initial impact of the murder of George Floyd on you at the time, and what is its legacy for you now?
At the time, it was just a shattering, sobering reality of just exactly where we are in this country, even after all this time. It's one thing, and doesn't change the heinousness of it. It's one thing to see someone be shot, and it's instant and sudden and done. And it's another thing to see a man being choked out in front of onlookers as they beg them not to do it. You know what I mean? It's a very different visual thing for you to grapple with, because there's always the concept of, oh, well, if people were there, and if somebody was there to help you, maybe that wouldn't happen the way that it happened. And this showed us that that doesn't sound the case. That there is something structurally wrong, and there is a death sentence that comes with being black and doing anything, that it just hangs over your head. And so that was watching that video for that first time, I remember being in bed, and I said to myself, okay, I've seen black people get murdered by the police before. Like I'll be angry, but I won't. Like it won't. It'll be anger that I recognize, and it wasn't that at all. It was a very sobering, changing thing, and subsequently, it has been the thing that has just motivated me as we continue. I mean, working with different organizations and working with leadership here in the movement in Minneapolis, and then as I write my music, it is a turning point. It's a catalyst to an evolution of my being. Like, I'm a different person than I was after I watched that video. And since then, I've been making action to further myself from who I was before. And I wasn't a bad person before. I just had a different sense of the world even, and now I'm here.
And tell the audience a little bit about the actions you took at the time. Like, I know that you were really involved, like, on the ground, but just let us in on that.
Yeah, so literally the next day, the 26th, I marched down to Cup Foods with everybody, everyone there. We marched for, accountability and anger, but mostly just demanding justice for what happened. And when that turned into an attack by the Minneapolis Police Department, a vicious and violent attack on the populace, everything kind of changed. And so the following day, we saw, and not to get into the details, but we saw that there are a lot of people out there who were getting hurt, getting either from like wounds sustained from being shot at by police with non-lethal rounds, or like gas, or just basic, falling, getting hit, cars driving crazily, like all this stuff. So I went down, and with help of my friends, I founded this organization called Justice Frontline Aid, where we provide first aid for protests. And those first weeks, we were just out there basically just doing guerrilla first aid for people out in there. We saw some of the most wild things I've ever seen in my life. It was literally a war zone in some cases. And yeah, and subsequently now we've just changed into we're a marshaling service. We still do first aid. We make sure we hand out masks and hand sanitizers and getting people out there, but doing it in the safest way possible to make sure everybody gets home at the end of the night is our goal.
So I've been reading a lot of James Baldwin essays recently, including Notes of a Native Son. And one of the amazing things that I found about it was how timeless the frustration was. And that was written in 1955, and it's glaringly real today, even in the reactions where he's talking about what happened in Harlem at the time. Do you feel an artistic connection with James Baldwin?
I feel like the movement has a through line. Anybody, at any time you start talking about, what happens to black people in America, you feel echoes of these people that came before you, James Baldwin, even people like poets like Maya Angelou. You'll hear these people speaking who feel it resonate with what you're doing, and it's like a continuation. It's why when we use the phrase the civil rights movement is continuing. You know what I mean? This is the stuff that has been happening. And artists of all types have been talking about this in some form or another, from as like all the way back to people like B.B. King and stuff like that. Freaking Ella Fitzgerald even, you know what I mean? Like these people who have been singing about, whether covertly or overtly, the Black experience has been happening this entire time. So when you see these poets, these speakers, these important pillars of the Black movement in our country, it is always kind of nice to hear things echo that ring true, because you're on the right path if it sounds similar to what people who have been fighting for this have been saying.
Mm-hmm. And you went down sort of like a chronological list there, but if you could just lay out some really influential Black voices that you think have made a direct impact on you.
I mean, obviously you're going to have the people that everybody, is going to say. And just because it's like a cliche thing to say doesn't mean isn't correct. So you have people like Martin Luther King Jr., you have people like Malcolm X, you have people like James Baldwin. Also, for me, people like Nina Simone, Maya Angelou are big influences on me when I listen to some of the stuff. And then we have leaders that are working today that are still making progress. Nikema here in Minneapolis, she's a powerful leader that I've gotten to see here and follow as she is boots on the ground here in Minneapolis. It's really great. And then just even my fellow members of JFA who have been outspoken and making their way in that way. These are all names of people that have spoke to me profoundly. My grandfather, while he wasn't a activist in some kind of crazy way, Sir Reynold Allen wasn't allowed to walk in the front door of the places that he worked in. And that was the same man that tucked me into bed at night, and he taught me how to be a good person, and his messages and his words ring in my ear just as strongly as, the I Have a Dream speech, which I actually have up. I'm looking at it right now because it's up in my house. I have a piece of it up in my house. And he would tell me, if no one did it for you, then you should be the one to do it for somebody else. And because there is in the Black community this desire to build the foundation for the generation after you in order for them to be successful, because that's how we survive in a world that's not designed for us to thrive. And so, there's so many people. I could go on and on and on about like the people who have inspired me in ways that I really appreciate.
So right now we're going to hear Cheat Codes. I really love the hook on this track.
We take back the streets, so no justice, no peace, bro. We ain't born with cheat codes, just some POC on beast mode. And that's all day. Haters looking salty. Nur-D's about to window. That's my Nindo. I'm Hokage. Woo! Do not test me. I'm like X-Nay. I still best you on your best day. I'm not trying to take your person, but I'll text back if they text me. I'm like, God, I'm so freaking hot. If I flip and breathe, I might scare a cop. Cause like, rawr, I'm so freaking scary. I'm a monster dude. I'm so legendary. Never losing, steady cruising. Try to put me in a noose and catch a bruising. Hit these muggles with a duke and going stupid. Nerdy nerds are freaking nuisance. Why you do it? Well, I'll tell you once again that we taking back the streets, so no justice, no peace, bro. We ain't born with cheat codes, just some POC on beast mode. We take back the streets, so no justice, no peace, bro. We ain't born with cheat codes, just some POC on beast mode. Yeah.
Tuvok the word, Tuvok the dad, Tuvok's the man, Tuvok's the plan. Not a white man, but I got a nice tan. Got it from the sun, you don't want none, fam. Blessed with a skin tone, this flow will touch down like an end zone. This flow goes so hard on the tempo. Don't you know your body's a temple? Don't you know? That's why I respect my glow. You don't understand, they can never go no. My power is infinite, isn't it? While you're enslaved to the dividend. Simpleton got something higher than Ripperton, and I got blood on my skin again. Thanking God for the difference. Yeah. Black power is the defense against these dark arts and the hearts of supremacists. So that's why I'm raising my fist again. We can go toe to toe or fist to cup. Y'all already told the cops are dangerous. Don't get mad at us when we speak up. Y'all afraid still and dangerous. Know we're not a gang, but ain't afraid to bust. We will not engage in these entanglements. You can just stay the same or change with us. Yeah. So just let go of the ledge you were on from the get-go. Yeah. And I know it ain't simple, but you don't always gotta go with the wind blow. I know you can be a man, take a stand for your kinfolk in this land that we built though.
Damn, they shot my man in the back. He was just speaking the truth. Yeah, they done did him like that. They be afraid of our crew. Our reparations are due. Go put my name on a check. Make sure you spell it correct. You better find your respect.
That was the track Cheat Codes featuring Tuvok the Word off the album 38th by Nur-D. We're joined today in the studio by Nur-D himself. So how can we, as a community, best honor the memory of George Floyd?
Whew, that's a big question. I think that the first and foremost is that you can support movements and policies that dismantle systematic oppression in where you live or in just in general. If you're taking an interest in local politics and the small stuff, not just the big national things that are easy to follow, but the small things that often get left through the cracks. Know who your sheriff is. Know who the leader of the police union is. Know who your mayor and their secretary and their assistant, a lieutenant governor, and all those people. You're gonna, in order to honor the memory of George Floyd, you have to help dismantle the actual oppressive system that is continuing to make more people like George Floyd. And then, in a personal basis, I think it would be to take a second or two to think about how it's like to be a person of color in the United States if you're not one already. To really, without bias and without a desire to protect yourself from guilt, how it might feel for them to exist in this country now, yesterday, and how it might feel knowing that they're going to wake up in a world that might not have their best interests at heart, and use that knowledge to further your actions further on.
Wow, that's special. Yeah, like sort of that walk a mile in another person's shoes idea. Wake up in another person's bed, go through someone's day-to-day and deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And
exactly. Take time to think about that.
Yeah, and I think, wow, that's a push. That's strong. Describe the different headspace this album was born out of or demanded compared to your other projects.
Yeah, I laughed about this with my DJ Hayes when we were making it, and I was just like, my shift. I've been working on music. I came into the scene in 2018, and I've just been pushing since then. And most of my music is based around either, like, oh man, love yourself, and oh, we're gonna like do stuff, we're gonna have fun, and positivity and self love and all that. And it still is. It's just that this was I got arrested on the streets of the Capitol, and as I was being zip tied and stuff, I realized, I was like, I can never just be another person that this didn't happen to. And if I were to die tonight, I don't want people to have any doubts into how I felt about this very important issue. I don't want it to be able to be nebulous. I want it to be clear, crystal clear where I stood. And so ever since that, I was like, okay, we're gonna come at this a little harder than I would normally. And I struggled with that for a little bit while we were writing. I went back and forth. I was like, oh man, what if my fans aren't like gonna be into it? I'm the guy who does like, Yu-Gi-Oh references. I talk about Digimon. Like, I don't think people are gonna want to hear me talk about, police brutality. But after getting it all out and really writing it down and sitting with it and hearing some of the features of my friends and my peers that are really been speaking into this, I was like, you know what? No, this was the right call. And then we got 38th, and we'll have Chicago Avenue as it drops too.
That's exciting. Yeah, and I could really hear that, especially in the closing track where you were sort of grappling with that weight that this is not the easy thing, but it is the right thing. And I think that really comes through and is an important, and it adds a lot of meaning.
Thank you. I would hope so. It meant a lot to me, and yeah, and it's been nice. I have, you do lose people, but who you gain are the people who are really going to help you when it matters, and that's what I think is important.
So, talking about your DJ, how did your production choices on this album contrast from others that you've made before, and how did it help to complement the subject matter and create a narrative around 38th?
Yeah, I first of all, I went out of my way to work with Black artists, and just like I was like, all right, I'm gonna do that. Like, I'm gonna make sure I do that. So Black producers, Black artists, I'm going to try to find a way to do that. So they already knew what I was talking about. I didn't have to like try and, convince them or try to like think about it. Oh, like they were like, oh, yep, nope, I know exactly what that is. So that was helpful. And then also just tapping into the anger, the harshness, the little bit more rawness of the tracks, and then really pushing myself to not perform in a way that is going to be marketable, but a way that is honest. And if it happens to be marketable, great. You know what I mean? That was the difference. And not that there's anything wrong with being marketable. That's great. You're gonna want, if you're an artist, you want people to want to listen to your music and use you for things and all that stuff. That's great, and there's something to be said about that. But for this particular project, I was like, all right, even if nobody likes this, I need to be able to do it 100% as raw as I can, so that it really comes across. And I think that I did that.
Yeah, I totally see where you're coming from, where this album is almost more so for you than for anyone else to listen to. But I think through that, that you can feel that how genuine it is. And I think that really resonates with a lot of people.
That's great, because that's what I was hoping for. So that worked out well.
So we're going to hear the next track, Black Kid, White Town.
Está fumando maconha de novo?
Changes. Interviews, they're confused what my name is. Every brother's on a first name basis. My mom cut my hair cause they hate me at Great Clips. And there are no safe spaces to escape from the looks on their faces. And the ones that can swear that they wave to the black mailman so they can't be a racist. And Jay-Z's on their playlist. And you know that he's not, but you fake it. Cause you smile and you nod cause you're wanting the job, and you swallow the last of your patience. But the next one who touches my hair is gonna get smacked. It's not a threat. It's not a threat. It's a fact. Black kid, white town. Black kid, white town. Black kid, white town. Black kid, wait. Black kid, white town. Black kid, white town. Black kid, white town. Black kid. Second part of the song, 911 when I'm passing the lawn. Still a long way from the fields where I'm from. Take a look at your son, taking mass of the prom, man. Hey, you know she looked real fine. Porcelain skin and her hair like wine. She came up to me and she looked in my eyes and she said we could date when her grandma dies. Yeah, cause she really wasn't having it. See me saying grace over plates, couldn't fathom it. Silverware disappears from the cabinet. Real dad's cool, stepdad isn't having it. Yo, and that's really the gist of it. Her mama says that I'm really articulate on. They tell me, son, we're so impressed and we get that you're one of the good ones. And that is just that. And she tells me, Matt, it's funny you rap, cause like really I don't even see you as black. Black kid, white town. Black kid.
That was Black Kid, White Town off the album 38th by Nur-D. We got Nur-D in the studio with us right now, going to give us some thoughts on what it was like growing up as a black kid in a white town.
Yes, I love that track. It's a great track.
Really
Making
nice.
a music video for that track.
Oh, did I miss that, or is that coming
It's not
out
out yet. No, it's coming out soon. It's
the
biggest endeavor I've ever made video-wise. Like, it's a lot. It was like 5,000. So no, it was like, wait, no, what was it? 50K amount of equipment that we used.
Wow.
It's probably the most ambitious endeavor I've ever done.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
So if you had to pair this album 38th with two other works to form a trilogy describing the current state of race relations in America, what would they be?
Ooh. Well, outside of Chicago Avenue, which hasn't dropped yet, but is designed to be its counterpart to everything that's going on, or at least its continuation. If I had to pick 2 works that are currently out right now that you could listen to this and listen to something else, I would probably say To Pimp a Butterfly.
Of course.
And because that's a lot of what I was listening to was Kendrick as I was like trying to figure out how I wanted to feel, and really that particular album really pushes me in that way.
A masterpiece.
And then I would say, I'm trying to think, race relations in regards to, if you do To Pimp a Butterfly, 38th, and then like honestly, as weird as this might. And it might sound like it's the same thing because it's kind of like a lot of it's written by the same guy, but the Black Panther soundtrack. And if you could throw in Lemonade by Beyonce from parts, because a lot of that, just like this fierce, unapologetically black moment, as well as like people just talking about specific instances, all of that happening all at the same time. Though that would be that's where I would want people to put this into, and really hear the heart of the people as this was going on.
And let me give you, from my uninformed perspective, what I think, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. So I think I would pair this with Public Enemy's Fear of a Black Planet and Tupac's Tupacalypse Now.
No, definitely. Those are also those are great. You know, I think that when people were to listen, I do a lot more singing. That's why I usually kind of put myself into more of the singing, groupie people. But that's the energy. It's the very same energy. There was an interview that Tupac did a while back where he was explaining the difference between the movement as it started and the movement where it is now and why it sounds so aggressive. Where he was talking about, when people were singing and dancing, hey, please give us some food. Hey, please give us food. And it eventually evolved into yo, we've taken your food, and we're not asking anymore. This is what we are demanding. And it comes from years of neglect. And that interview, I think I've watched that interview 100 times, because Tupac so eloquently explained to the person that he was talking to why hip hop specifically has evolved into something that's more aggressive in his time, where before it was a lot about black parties and hanging out and being at the disco and whatnot. It is grown and changed into this other thing. It can still be fun. It'll still be about hanging out at the disco too, but that's where this comes from.
So right here, we're going to go into Break Chains.
Tied in the backseat, a cab like a taxi. Got no time to be pussyfooting, but I whip out claws like the backseat. I know haters be pissed off, talking all of their back cheeks. And if you got a problem, it's nerdy rocks, and yo, I don't care if you at me. Got no time for no racist. Get my blood from them slave ships. Black and proud, and I'll say it loud. We be wildin' out, you can't fake this. Muggles try, but can't catch the beat. Haters clapping on 1 and 3, but we gon' reign. We break a chain. Just wait and see. Just wait and see. You ain't finna stop me. 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 Yeah, you ain't finna stop me. 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 Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Another grandson of the island boy on my granddad. My granddaddy. Never gonna stop, gonna hear my voice. This ain't no time. This is my melanin. Yes, I be telling them. Living my skin for a minute. I'm a rebel in black. Don't crack it. I rap freaking heavily. But I'm hot as hell. I'm so goddamn pretty. I can't help myself, but I'm from my city. Black boy, ring that bell. Sorry, I'm not sorry. We might crash your party. My friends on Jabari. And it's challenge day. I'm still on that wave. 12 can't bring me down. Shout it on my face. Mind your business. We gon' win this. We be royalty. You know what I mean. We We break chains of the masters. We won't change, so don't ask us. We gon' fight cause we has to. You will never get past us. Shout it out to the rafters. We break chains of the masters. We break chains of the masters. We break chains of the masters. We won't change, so don't ask us. We gon' fight cause we has to. You will never get past us. Shout it out to the rafters. We break chains of the masters. We break chains of the masters. And we tell them like, you ain't finna stop me. 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 No, you're not. You ain't finna stop me. You ain't finna stop me. Thinking I'm about to stop, how about no way? I'm so hot, I could burn on a snow day. If you rock with a cops, you can go away. Better watch how you talk, you don't know me. But I'm in your neighborhood, no, ain't no make-believe it. Just might show up in your yard if we have trouble breathing. Cause my grandma's mother's mother built this whole damn space. Don't mistake me for somebody who don't know their place. I am black like the Nazarene, got a white nose and everything. Yeah, my hair's nice and woolly, ain't run from bullies, I rock my ebony. Black like music that ever stole, black like country and rock and roll. Black like all of them drums are up a pump pump way down in my soul. Mesa, 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 Mesa. We break chains to the masters. We won't change, so don't ask us. We gon' fight cause we has to. You will never get past us. Shout it out to the rafters. We break chains to the masters.
We just heard Break Chains by Nur-D off his recent album 38th. We're joined in the studio right now by Nur-D to give us some thoughts.
That's my favorite one.
So tell me a little bit about Break Chains and how it is your favorite track, as you said.
It's my favorite track of I hate everything about it, man. It was the one where so after we did Misdemeanor, and you can listen to Misdemeanor, and then Black Kid White Town, me and my DJ, we looked at each other and we were like, oh, this is real. This is a real thing. And then after we finished Break Chains, we were like, wow, this might actually be the best work we've ever done. Like, this might actually be like the best album I've ever done. And Break Chains, it's got all the things that a Nur-D song has, but the focus is firmly in what's happening around us right now. We start off talking about me being arrested, talking about how 100% unapologetically, like, yo, ACAB, we're done with this nonsense. Like, this has to stop. And then it transitions into, loving myself, as a black man, third generation American. My grandfather immigrated from Jamaica. My grandmother on my dad's side was came from slave stock. Like, I was built here. Like, my country was built off of the backs of my family. And to celebrate that and be like, yeah, I'm not going to stop, and you're not going to be able to stop me. Because remember, right after I got out of jail, I went right back to running the food shelf that we had put together out of Modest Brewing in Minneapolis, and then I was right back out helping people because I wasn't going to stop just because I was put in jail. And Breaking Chains is a good symbolism. You can see that on like a Luke Cage picture. He's always breaking through bondage, breaking through like adversity, like the idea of breaking your own chains and continuing to fight is so powerful. So that's my favorite song on the album. It slaps. We're dancing around. We got the M'Baku chant from Black Panther in there. Like, it's my favorite thing we have.
Awesome. And in your opinion, what are the steps forward, and what role can music or art have in producing real change?
I think the steps forward, obviously, changes in local government is a big one. No matter where your local government is, the people that are going to affect your day-to-day and your neighbors' day-to-day are more likely those people, the sheriffs, the police union people, your governor, your mayor. Those people are going to affect your neighbors' lives much more immediately than some people in the federal government. So that's a big step forward, is focusing on how you can affect your neighborhood for the better change and working on that. Also, music can play a huge role in helping that narrative and shaping people's understanding artists can take their platform that they have and inform people of things that are going on, and use their ability to reach a large amount of people to help them understand the plights of others. Like, I have a significant following, and I'm able to be like, hey, these are the things that are important. These are the people that we need to help right now. And that does help. And making music for people to feel inspired to. Most recently, when we were trapped on 94 by the Minneapolis Police Department and State Patrol, they had kettled us onto the highway, and there was a lot of fear in the room. And then when the DJ started playing music, everybody loosened up, and it turned into the largest dance party and the largest arrest in Minnesota history, by the way. But the largest dance party to happen. And music did a really good job of like channeling that positive, we will not be moved energy. And I think if more artists can do that, if artists that aren't black or brown or BIPOC or whatever we're saying, if artists that aren't those people can take the time to like let people have that, that's another big thing. It's hard to do in the Midwest. We have a lot of amazing artists, white artists out here, but it's like maybe now's the time for you to lift up your peers and be like, hey, if you haven't listened to them, now's the time. Because that could really help elevate some people and put them into places where they can create more influence for more change.
I like that. And I really think the local government thing is so important. It's so easy to get distracted by the large scale when our day-to-day and even the hearts of those around us are, that's the things that we can have an impact on and will have the biggest impact on us.
Yeah, exactly right. Your local government, your town, your city council, all of that stuff is going to affect what happens in your neighborhood. But national stage is great. You should be paying attention to that too. It has long-term ramifications for us as a country. But as for your neighbor, the one who's going to be like the police is going to show up in their place, you're going to want to know what that police precinct is about. You're going to want to know what the mayor of your town is about, so that you can have a direct impact on their life.
Awesome. And what does it take to maintain as unrelenting of a release and touring schedule like you do?
Oh, man. So I've recently given up doing caffeine, which was a crazy time to do it, I can tell you what. But yeah, it requires a team around you of people, both music supporters and just people in your life that can support you. My partner is amazing and reminding me to eat and go to bed. Because if I didn't, I would be always up. Like I would be always up, and having people who are dedicated to making things work for you is great. So having a good team around you is a really good way to maintain a schedule. And then, I always say, take 5 seconds, set a day that you're going to do your work. You're going to do your work. So you know that even if I get lost in the shuffle, every Sunday I go through all my emails. I hit everybody back. I make sure that a week doesn't go by without me saying something. And doing shows and stuff, it's just all about practice. Practice your music so that you're not worrying about whether you do the song right when it's time to go. You just worry about what kind of performance you have. I think that is a big thing, especially for young up-and-coming artists. The difference between getting booked for the big show and not is whether or not you put on a good performance that day, and whether you put on a good performance. A lot deals with how well you know your music. If you've practiced enough that it's all second nature to you, then you can show up anytime, any place. They call you the next day and say, hey, we need you to be at US Bank Stadium at 11:30, like to do a thing, and you can just go out there and do it. You don't have to worry about it.
Nice. So sort of drop us all your plugs here real quick, your social media, your email, and also your organization that you're working with, how people can help out with social justice on a local level, on a state level, on a national level even.
Of course. So I'll start off with Justice Frontline Aid, because they are the most brave, the most selfless people that I have been able to work with. Justice Frontline Aid, we are a group of individuals. We're working on being a nonprofit that helps people in protest areas, helps people with food needs, helps people all across the Midwest including Wisconsin, because we went out to Kenosha. So we've been all over the map here. You can go to justicefrontlineaid.org online, and you can find out all of our information, how to donate, how to get involved, learn a little bit more about protests and protest education, all that, justicefrontlineaid.org or at justicefrontlineaid on Instagram. We have an Instagram there. We also have a Twitter at JSA_tweets, and you can hit us up there if you have more questions or just want to say, hey, you guys rock. We appreciate that. And then that's for me. As for Nur-D, the dude, you can find me at Nur-D Rocks, N-U-R-D Rocks, like multiple Dwayne Johnsons, on all social media. So that's Instagram, that's Twitter, that's TikTok, because I'm on TikTok now because I'm cool. And you can email me at nerdmusic@gmail. But also, if you go to nerdyrocks.com, you can just hit me up right on there. It goes right to my phone. So, yeah, hit me up on nerdyrocks.com and see a bunch of pictures and videos and just see all the weird stuff I got going on.
So before we say goodbye, we're going to hear Goodbye, the closing track on your album. I love this so much. It's just so poignant.
I feel like I have to say that now, but this might be goodbye. To a lot of you, my music has been a safe space to be, and I hope that it can continue to be that. However, I feel as if it's time for me to make crystal clear where I stand on certain things. And that's what I've done here. It's not easy. It's not easy to be black in this country. It's also not easy to know that you will lose people for speaking out about that fact. So goodbye. To those of you who will leave and never hear me again because I made this record, I hope in the future things will be different. I can't promise, but I hope. Venues that won't book me, for the stations that won't play me, goodbye. I hope you change, because I won't. I can't. I'll miss it, I'm sure. There's a lot of opportunities with staying safe. But none of those are important enough to deny myself, of myself. And yes, this is angry. Yes, this is aggressive. But I've seen things now, and I can't unsee them. And I can't unbe who I am. So, to that I say, if this is the last thing you'll ever hear from me, be good to each other and be good to yourself. I had a lot of fun. Goodbye.
We just heard Goodbye by Nur-D off his recent album 38th. Goodbye is a unique goodbye from a unique artist to a unique album. We talked a little with Nur-D about the process and what it meant to him. So lead me through the narrative that led up to the creation of 38th and how Goodbye is the fitting end to it and also how we move forward from here.
Yeah, so 38th was a combination of my feelings of everything that's been happening here in Minneapolis, in the Twin Cities, since the murder of George Floyd and the subsequent things that I've seen from being out and in all of these crazy instances, and watching people fight for their rights and fight for their freedom and their lives. And Goodbye ended that, and I didn't write Goodbye. I just walked up to the mic and said it. So there wasn't a writing process for that one. It was I wanted to get everything off my chest and put a definitive stamp on it. So when people would hear it at the end of the day, they'd hear like, hey, let me talk to you for a second, because it was very different than a lot of my other work. It was similar in a lot of ways, but it was very direct, and I could in my head, I could imagine people just being like, what's going on? And I wanted to, again, make it crystal clear. If all the songs could be taken in a different way, if anybody, if they wanted to do all or whatever, or they wanted to skip through it only to the ones they wanted to dance to, at the very least, they'd hear it and know that I basically said, hey, this is what's going on now. There is no turning back from this. This is what I'm about. I still might make, I'm still going to make songs about cartoons and video games for sure. But if you were listening to Nur-D because I wasn't going to make you feel challenged about the things going on in our world, then this is no longer the place for you. And I wanted to say goodbye to those people, and let people know that I was okay with losing those fans if that was going to be the case, because I'd rather have people who are here to love and support and respect everybody.
Wow. Yeah. And I think that earnestness comes across so clearly. It's fascinating that you did that in one take, and it makes sense.
Yeah, it was wild. I was like, yeah, I know I'm gonna say something, and I feel like people. It's just, first of all, it's just good manners. You say hello, you say goodbye. So, as someone who understands how important it is for that fans contribute to a young artist, I'm still relatively new in comparison to some of my peers and just like people all over the place. And I wanted to show the respect for some of these people getting me where I am now. But just because I was a safe pick, I can't continue to be just a safe pick for you. If that's what it's going to be, I have to talk about the things I need to talk about. So yeah, I wanted to respect those people and thank them for their everything they put in my life and everything they put into my music career, and then say goodbye if they choose to no longer mess with me now that we've taken this step for change.
That's fascinating. I don't think many artists often directly speak to their listeners in that manner.
Well, I think more people should. They are our employers and our suppliers, and we are in a very interesting relationship. Us, our artists, and the people that listen to our art. It's a symbiotic relationship, and it's important to maintain honesty throughout. And in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, that's really powerful. So what's next in the rollout of 38th? And you mentioned you had a sort of a successor to it coming out. So tell us a little about that.
Yeah, Chicago Ave is coming out very soon, hopefully sooner rather than later. And that is it's a continuation of the conversation, more perspectives, more thought-provoking pieces, more people speaking into what's going on out here. So it's it is a sequel. It is a continuation of the conversation, and I'm very excited for it. That is the next big thing that's coming out from the Nur-D camp. It's got so many more artists on it. Lieutenant Sunny, Minnesota, Destiny Roberts, Brandon Polfus again, who's coming back for a second track. Just Wolf, a lot of really amazing artists, black artists here in Minnesota and beyond, who are just speaking on what's happening and just kind of this growth, both reconciliation but also continuation of the movement, which I'm very excited about.
Awesome. And just a closing question, what's the best advice you've ever received, and what is the best advice you can give as far as educating people on what's going on?
The best advice I've ever received. Ooh, okay. The best advice I've ever received is... Well, I'll give my advice, and then I'll come back to the best advice I've ever received. Mm-hmm. So my advice comes out of, maybe this is the best advice I've ever seen, and I would want to give it anyway. From the pages of Amazing Fantasy #1, from a one Uncle Ben Parker, and it is, with great power comes great responsibility. And I feel like more people need to live in that mind frame. If you have the power to do something, you have a responsibility to do it. And I feel like the more you can see where you have power, the more you can see where people are in need, and you can go step out and step up. If you have the ability to just move on your own power, you have, like, under your own volition, that is something. And you have a responsibility to use that power to make the world a little bit a better place than it was when you went to bed. And if I can give anyone that kind of advice, it'd be that, is to see where you have power, see where you have privilege, see where you have ability, and how can you use those things to better the world around you. If you can sing, if you're an artist, are you making music that edifies people? Are you making music that is going to uplift the world? It doesn't have to necessarily be positive all the time, but, like, is it going to better someone? Or is it music that's putting people down? Is it music that's hurting people? I think that as an artist is a big thing that we need to do and think about as we continue forward.
That's amazing, especially that you circled it back around to the superhero metaphor. You truly are Nur-D.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is, man. You can take a nerd out of the comic book shop, but you can't take the comic book shop out of the nerd, is what I'm telling you.
Awesome. So any final notes for the listeners?
Yo, I appreciate all of you who listen to the music. Obviously, do the whole thing, like it, follow on the thing, stream it. Every little bit helps, especially now in this pandemic. We're in a very crazy time, so artists are looking for as much support as you can give, and I would be eternally grateful if you spend a little bit of time listening to my music, following me on Patreon, doing any of the things that would help that way. But ultimately, if you only have 5 minutes of the day for yourself, take a little bit of time and be good to yourself, and that way you can be good to others. That is what I would like to say to y'all, because you are loved, and that's important to know.
Thanks again to Nur-D for joining us tonight on The Sound. For more info on him or to join the Nur-D Club, go to nurdrocks.com or check him out at Nur-D Rocks on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. That's NURD Rocks. For more conversations on local or regional music, tune into The Sound, Wednesday nights at 6, right here on 89.5 KQAL. I'm Matt Drewry, and we just heard from Matt Allen, better known as Nur-D, on The Sound.
Thanks for listening to The Sound. The Sound is produced by KQAL FM on the campus of Winona State University. Visit us online at kqal.org. Theme music for The Sound provided by Mike Terrell of Fires of Denmark.